Hi, everyone. This is Tatiana Dudiez with Thrive and Shine. We are here today in Hollywood having an amazing day. It's sunny. It's California. It's always amazing. This is why I moved here. And this show is all about, as you're probably figuring out right now, and through the history of maybe 5 shows, 6 shows, it's still the beginning, but it feels like I've been here forever doing this. It's awesome. I'm loving it. It is all about authentic power and conscious leadership. We have to embody the change we want to see in the world today. We have to move forward on a level that is very different than what we've all experienced, I think, in our past, right? So we have to embody change. We have to move forward and embrace what is happening in the world today, which is the rise of consciousness and the rise of women supporting each other, the rise of women really wanting to make a difference, and they embody that change. And that's what I'm so interested in. As well as men. The men are extremely welcomed on my show. I am the biggest supporter of men. And I want to invite more of you. If ever you're watching and you want to be on the show with me, I welcome you. Please reach out to me. On my site, there is a way to reach out to me. But before we do this, before we spend more time on inviting men, I have this gorgeous, friend, coach, healer. She is Gwen Dittmar. So her official title is Coach Breathwork Guide. This is my French coming up with my lisp. And a healer. And she's amazing. She is someone I've had the privilege to work with, to get to know through moon circles as well. I highly recommend her moon circles and all the work she does. And here you are. This is Gwen.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is all about having fun, right? This show is about having 50 minutes of pure joy and fun.
Yay.
To thrive and shine together, right? And so Gwen is of course a coach and a healer and a breath work. I really have challenged with that word today. Breath work guide here in LA, and I really love how you work. Who you are in your work is so authentic, and I know it's the show and all of you may be going, oh my god, here we go again, authentic, but it's so true. Like, you are so true to who you are, and it really is felt in your work. And I think that's what people come to you for, right? And it's really that level of truth that is felt in you and your work. There's no line.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. No, that is my intention, and that's my mission, to really be me and to be me with others. To
not have masks.
No mask.
No masks.
No.
Well,
and I made that commitment to myself like about, how long was it? almost 14 December years ago when I got sober. So I decided no more putting on one face for the outside world and feeling a different way on the inside. And I remember one of my spiritual teachers at that time told me that's what like authenticity is, and that's what integrity is when your insides match your outsides and your outsides match your insides. And there's no difference between the two.
That's right. Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, that would be so peaceful. That would be so freeing to live that way.
Yes.
I couldn't even imagine it at that time, what it would actually feel like to live that way.
Isn't that amazing how we are here on this side, and all the guests that I invite have jumped onto the side of removing the masks, right? And yet we all remember what it was like to wear those masks and to really live a life that is not connected truly to our heart. And we seem to believe that it's just the way that we should be. That's the way that society kind of tells us, that we need to be, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, jumping that cliff into that genuine way to experience life is completely different. So you mentioning being sober, taking that decision. So what happened? Tell us a little bit about your story.
We're going to go there.
Of course we're going to go there because we have nothing to hide, right?
No, we don't. No, we don't. No, I mean, my story with that, and I always try to be conscious of story.
Yeah, of course.
Like I think even that can be a story
in
and of itself.
Absolutely.
And like maybe it doesn't even have to be, but if we're going to talk about the fun story.
Well, it's really in order to give context.
Right.
Because again, I really like to underline the fact that we are here today having decided and chosen to remove the masks to really live as authentically as possible, right? And as committed as possible to thrive and shine our light with no holding back, right? And to really live that potential every day and live that truth every day. Yet, it's a conscious decision, and it's not an easy one.
No, it's not.
Right? So that's why I'm inviting you to share so that it gives people an idea of really the depth of your heart.
I think it's interesting. That's something that I struggled with at first. When I made the decision, because I couldn't take not having that integrity of really feeling like I was putting on an act and that mask on the outside, but feeling completely different on the inside. And on the outside, I looked like I had everything together. I mean, I kind of looked the same. I actually think I look younger now than I did 14 years ago because of not drinking or the way that I'm eating now and my consciousness. I think that
Huge
is like
difference.
the most amazing facelift.
I agree.
And not lying anymore inside is like, that just removes a huge burden on my face.
Makes you glow.
Yeah. And thrive.
I know.
And shine. And so, I mean, I had like a great job. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I had a convertible. I lived 2 blocks from the beach. I had moved out here from Philadelphia. I played sports in college. I did well in college. I had all the great stuff on paper, and I looked like I was fine. I still had great family relations, friends, but I just was not happy. I was not happy. I was the term that I'm using now is I was in the spiritual closet. I was this deeply spiritual, I was that kind of person that when I looked at the sunset, I literally felt it in every bone in my body. And I felt like I had seen sunsets for thousands of years, but I never really felt like I could communicate that part of who I was with other people, especially not the industry that I was in. So I worked in the pharmaceutical and biotech research industry. So it was very in a box, and I chose a profession that kept me literally in a box. Like I would sit in a conference room with medical charts and databases by myself all day, every day, just day after day after day.
Sounds so exciting.
And it does that did feed a part of me.
No offense to anyone who is in your cubicle, but
and it did feed a part of me and who I was, and I still have some of that part inside of me.
Yeah.
But I just I was not living the way that I wanted to live. I was not doing the things. I think that was the other thing too. I was not doing the things I wanted to do. I was going out and drinking, and I was shy. I was introverted. I'm actually very introverted and very shy, but I've learned how to, push myself out. But that was a false way of pushing myself out.
yeah, of course.
So I just, I would always have these. I wasn't like an alcoholic in the sense that I was drinking every single day. I was running marathons.
Right. You were using alcohol in order to get out of your shell and not feel so shy, probably, to actually fit in.
To shine, but in an inauthentic way. And then, what would happen is after 6 months of keeping everything in, I would usually have some type of major explosion. If you push a pressure cooker for 6 months, it's going to come out in a really big and
bad way,
nasty, unaligned way.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what would usually happen for me.
Yeah.
And people will be like, "Oh my God, who is that?" She's nuts.
And how did you feel after you'd blow up?
Oh, and then I would feel, you feel emotionally hungover the next day. You feel guilty.
Emotional hungover.
Oh,
I love that.
oh, you feel
gonna use
guilty. You feel ashamed. You know, I would feel just like, then I had to like clean everything up and make it right or fix it or promise myself I'm never going to do that again and I'm going to be perfect. So I was just constantly keeping myself in this cycle of unattainable perfection and never meeting it. So it was like I was constantly setting myself up to fail. I mean, because you cannot be
amazingly
perfect.
good at that. But
As my best friend
typical,
says, humans are very interesting animals.
it's true.
We are very interesting.
But this is also a very common denominator for high achievers.
Oh, yes.
We are so good at wanting to attain perfection, yet sabotaging ourselves on a regular basis. And it's so unconscious. And yet, you know, it's one of the greatest, one of my greatest discovery as, you know, having jumped to the other side is still in the process too. Maybe I think we're always in the process. You know?
Yes, we are.
Right. So this unattainable perfection is a killer. It is so stressful, and it so allows us to stay in that box in so many ways.
Oh yes, I was just in a cage that I had created for myself. I remember when I finally made that choice to stop drinking. You know, I fought like programs that help you not drink because I was like, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to be spiritual. And it was great. I did that for about 4 years. And then I finally surrendered to, you know, another form of receiving support from other people and a group and people that have done that before. And it was so amazing for me to open up to like, oh, wow, not only do I just need to figure this out with myself and with something greater than me, but figuring it out with other people. Yeah. And it's like, that's what really started to open me up to getting out of that box of being shy and introverted and quiet and perfect.
Right. And seeing that other people are also not that perfect and
Correct.
being okay to be amongst others that are being truthful.
Yes.
In that, okay, so we are together not perfect, and it's okay.
And yeah, we're still lovable. We're still worthy. We still get to be happy.
And so we create this sense of isolation, right? I mean,
and I find that with a lot of, you know, people that are higher up.
Yes.
Is just, they feel so isolated.
Yeah.
You know, and when I first started coaching, I was coaching some doctors that I worked with in the pharmaceutical industry because they started to notice a change in me, and they were like, something's different about you. What are you doing that's different? And I was like, I'm going back and getting my master's in spiritual psychology, and it's changed my life. Like, it literally has changed my life, that and getting sober. And I would tell people that in like a context, you know, of work and professionalism that, you know, you're not, I guess, you're not supposed to talk about, but why are you not supposed to talk about that?
Well, that's the confinement we would allow ourselves to be in if we conform to that degree.
And that became the basis for my life. Like anything that I wouldn't, just making sure that whatever was being felt or said on the inside could be felt and said on the outside, and vice versa.
That's
so
right.
I started telling people, I stopped drinking, and my life got a lot better. Even though I had a pretty amazing life prior to.
Right. And it probably was such a challenge at the beginning, and yet it gets easier, right? With time.
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember for about a year, I didn't tell people. So I would just say, you know, I was sick and I couldn't drink, or I started using my marathon running as an excuse. Oh, I have to get up early. You know, when a couple years prior, I would have drank an entire bottle of vodka, and literally I did that one time. I ran a marathon
and
the next
you
morning.
were able to run the next day.
I mean, you
find
have
ways.
Yes, you find ways to clear what's in your system.
Wow.
And then continue
awesome.
running. But that's that insanity, you know.
Yes.
But that's also the great insanity that I have, which is like, you know, and I think that's why we probably relate to one another, is that, and I'm sure your listeners that are individuals that like to like go and do
Intense.
and
and having that intensity,
thrive.
right?
Yeah, it's because I am an intense person. But it was like I finally found a way to channel it in a healthy way.
Correct, exactly.
Versus like an internal way of
the internal
never enough, not never enough.
Feeding. Actually, we. I mean, I remember having so many ways of feeding that internal "I'm not enough," whether it was through more work and more achievement, or for 7 years of my life, I was anorexic and bulimic, and part of that was an internal control and desire for perfection that was totally running my life and channeling my intensity in a different way than I can channel it today.
Isn't
right?
How does that feel to channel it now?
Oh my God, it's such freedom and liberation, and that sense of isolation. I wanted to, because that is the result of I feel, suppressing that intensity or using it in a toxic way.
Yes.
We already feel quite isolated as humans because we are not resorting to our spirituality. Because in fact, when we are believers and we have faith, we know we're not alone. We know we're never alone. That's an illusion to be alone, right? Yeah. So
and I think that's why podcasts are like, it's a way of bringing people together in a tribe. Like, you're not alone.
You're not alone. And so,
or me sharing about the sobriety, you're not alone.
Exactly. That's exactly why I resisted doing this show. I think right? I was not going to do this. And yet I reminded myself of what matters to me. And what matters to me is that I can speak my truth, and I invite people to speak their truth so that we give you permission, listeners or viewers, to discover a bit more of your truth, because it's a process. I remember, going through a weekend to try to get a better understanding of that anorexia and bulimia after 7 years of hiding. And it was unbelievable how I felt not alone or less alone being amongst other people who had the same issue, because I thought I was a complete alien. I thought I was like weird to be going. I hadn't spoken to anyone. I couldn't speak about it in my family. Nobody understood it. Right. And so we tend to already feel alone, and then we find ways to channel our intensity in a toxic way so we feel even more alone. And so
to feed that voice.
That's right. Yeah. So that isolation is it hurts. Right.
It does.
And we've all high achievers, I think, experienced it because we're so good. We're so good at feeding that intensity in a way most often that is toxic. And so...
And I seem to attract a lot of people that are really spiritual, but they're like reading the books on the weekends, or they're going to the workshops on the weekends, or they're like psychic, or they're doing, medicine ceremonies, or, shamanic types of ceremonies, or even the moon circles. Like, I think it's like a way for people to be in that without... and not have to hide anymore.
So you're saying that you're attracting people who are very much in the box during the week, very like professional in a way, because we are still very professional even though we are out.
But I think that's one of the misconceptions is that you either are going to lose your edge, or you're going to lose your success, or you're going to lose your money.
Or you might also need to redirect your intimacy with the people that you're with, because some are not going to welcome spirituality.
And all of those things, I would say, sometimes they happen, but sometimes they don't.
It's our own interpretation of our story.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, everything is perception, right?
Everything is.
So it's like you could look at one thing and frame it several different ways.
Right.
Just depending on the perspective that you want to have.
But there's a reason you attract these people, is because they feel like it's possible. There is something they feel from you that is possible to move into hiding less of who they want to become.
And I think a lot of them, it's like they want to, honestly, a lot of them want to keep doing the trade or the skill that they're really good at doing, whether it's being a CEO or a CMO, or an engineer or
they want to amalgamate
yes.
all of who they are and
Yes.
not so that's I love that, because this is the work that we want to do is allowing people to believe that there is a possible way to lead
Yes.
their companies, to be the most amazing CEOs, leaders, executives in a way that is so full from within, meaning you really operate from all of who you are, not just one part of who you are, not maybe the rigid or logistic, strategic, masculine part of who you are, but all of who you are. The spiritual, the feminine, the masculine, the entrepreneur, because there's a side of everyone that is a little bit entrepreneurial, even if you're not totally an entrepreneur. You're still within
Right.
a corporation,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what
So, I mean, I think you brought up a really good point, which is that, I really appreciate that you saying this, that a lot of times it's like you hear about the story about how hard it was, the choice that was made, and then now like the amazing life. But that it's really, there is a journey and there's a process in between the two. And I think that's a lot of times what people don't know what to do is that time between. It's like they may know, oh yeah, I can relate to that. I want to be more of who I am. But geez, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
How
So
do you-
what would you say? How do you suggest that to someone who is completely lost and in wanting to really be on that journey and getting closer to who they really are and bringing that value, bringing that wholeness to their work?
I mean, I think it's a process and I think it's steps, and I think it's important to remind people of that as they're also making the steps. I also feel like it's really helpful to have somebody who has done it, whether it's like a group that you are a part of, or a mentor or a coach or a healer.
Yes,
I mean, I know
absolutely.
for me that was huge, having coaches and healers and like teachers. Because I had read all the books. I had done that. I had tried to figure it out on my own. And I think that's one of the biggest things.
Right.
What would you say?
I would say exactly the same thing, in that one, it's really important that you surround yourself with people who are very much like you, quote unquote, want to be, meaning proximity is power. So if you are surrounded by people who are not matching your level of truth and authenticity and knowing how to be that way, then you're going to stay there. You're going to be stuck and stay there, and you're not going to elevate. So not only is it your professional environment, but also your personal environment. I mean, friends have a huge influence, and
Relationships.
we both in relationships, and the only ones that you can't ditch are the kids.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could, but
Well, you could, but
probably
that
don't want
was
to.
that's just not part of who
don't
we
want
are
to.
as a mother. I don't know, but the kids end up shifting as well, right? I mean, kids
don't they? I forget who this quote comes from, because I like to give people recognition for what they've created.
Yes, you're very good at that.
I apologize. I don't know who this like originated from, but it said that the 5 people who you spend the most time with are going to be a direct reflection of where you are internally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. And then also too financially. So like if you take the average salary or income of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, that will reflect to you where you are. So
makes sense.
Like you said, all the money, get rich money books, like they all talk about, like really to hang out with people that.
And do it in a true, sincere
Authentic.
way, right? We are not wanting to promote just hang out with people who are rich. That's not the point. But it's inspiring to be around people who are wealthy in every part of their life. Wealthy in the spiritual way, wealthy in their heart, wealthy in their friendships and their intimate relationship with their partner, wealthy in terms of financial abundance. I mean, it's inspiring to be around people like that.
Yeah,
so it's mindset. Exactly. So I would say that, and also hiring someone that can guide you on that path, just like what you were saying. Because even when I was, for instance, part of all these different events with Tony Robbins, there is only so far or only so many events I can take, right? And I took, I don't know how many in like a period of 3 years. I was, but that's my intensity. I was driven, and I was like really wanting to take the masks off and go deep and immerse myself, and it was amazing. And then another stage of my life came in, and then it's like, okay, now I need to embody all of these changes. They're all here. I get
Knowledge versus wisdom.
That's right. And how do you do that? It's practice personally to figure that path and that journey out. But it's also surrounding yourself with teachers that can guide you. And those teachers have to have walked that path, in my opinion. Otherwise, I don't learn from, it doesn't inspire me to learn from someone who hasn't walked that walk. I mean, I know some people around me who are working with clients and teaching how to be an entrepreneur, and yet they're not an entrepreneur. And that doesn't make sense to me. It's just, right? And so that's one of the things I love about you is like we have similar journeys, and I'm learning from you on some levels, and there's always this sharing that's happening. So then when you actually got to this point where you decided to switch in this work, like, I mean, it's one way to become spiritual and to elevate in a different way than where you've been in your cubicle in that pharmaceutical company. So we're talking about all that, and boom, all of a sudden you are actually teaching the work.
Well, I would say it's like, I think it's a process.
Yeah,
so
of
it's
course.
like it started with the wake up call, and then I was a part of like a women's group, and I was working with a lot of healers, and then I went through that school. And when I went into that school, it was like a class of 250 people. And so I was with 250 people that were exactly where I was and who I wanted to be. And so that just, my life just completely changed. And I learned a lot of skills and tools and techniques and things that I still use today. And then that really just started to naturally, it was like organic. It was authentic. It was, I was doing all the inner work. So naturally, my inner experience became my external reality. And then, you know, it was like I was just showing up different in my work. So instead of staying in the room, I would come out of the room and actually say, something, you know, because I was always psychic. And so I would just start allowing that to be okay, even in a place where there's a belief that it's not okay.
Right.
And I would say, you know, something really seems off. Something seems to be bothering you. If you don't want to share, that's okay. But if you do, I'm here to listen, because like I have been in that place where things have not been okay, and it's lonely and it's hard. And you know,
what were people's reactions?
Oh my God, they would close the door, you know,
they
and
would?
they would say, oh my gosh, you know, I'm going through a divorce, or, you know, my son is like strung out on drugs, and they would start sharing.
Oh, they would start sharing, not closing the door.
No, they would.
I thought you meant closing the door.
They would close they would say, "Come on in," and then they would close the door behind us. And then they would start sharing, you know, because I had always had that kind of quality, but it was now I was not just doing
you were
it in one
embracing
area.
it.
I was
You were
doing it everywhere.
owning it.
Yeah.
So people are comfortable. When you own yourself, it really creates trust. That's one of the things that I say all the time is whatever it is that you own in yourself, you create trust owning it, because people feel that.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
Yeah. So I owned the fact that I had been unhappy and miserable and suffering on the inside, but fine on the outside. And I think people started to relate to that. And then, I was also in that program, I started writing, which I had a love of writing when I was a child, but I don't know what happened. It's like, these stories, oh, I'm not creative, or, oh, I'm not able to do that, or you can't make money doing that, or you have to be focused or do something else. And I just started writing for fun, and that just kind of evolved into me starting a website. And then that combined with what was happening in physical reality, it was just like, it just naturally started to evolve. I didn't even...
You followed what was coming to you.
Yeah, I followed this natural gift of listening to people and being psychic and really attuning and asking questions and holding space and relating, really connecting and relating.
Is there still today for you a challenge that you experience with that gift of whether we want to call it psychic ability or intuition or
clairvoyant?
Right. Do you experience today challenges around that, whether it's in your personal life or professional life?
Well, I will say, over the years of coaching, I've learned how to be more confident in it, and also attuned to when it's the right timing. Also asking for permission. So if
that's
somebody
a big one.
wants, if somebody wants
I
to hear
see
it,
that
right.
You're really messed up today.
Some people might not want to, so asking for permission.
It's
One of my first coaches taught me that. And then trusting it, I think, was a huge part of my journey. So I think all those things really play a part. And timing, trusting it, asking for permission.
Right.
And setting up the context for it too. So it's like, when I start working with somebody, I tell them, I have this ability to see things, and it's usually pretty accurate. So I'm going to ask questions, and I will ask for permission, but I do have this. So if you want to know, great. And if you don't want to know, I can pull back and allow you to guide yourself with my guidance, if that makes any sense.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
So that's a really, I feel, a big part of a lot of coaches' work. I mean, I'm generalizing here, but I'm just going to, I guess, speak on our behalf, because I'm also very psychic and very intuitive, and learning to trust that within. And I'm mentioning that so that, a lot of women, it is a gift that most women have that we fight with along our life a lot. We don't trust it. We don't listen to it. And we generally call it that little voice inside. But in fact, it's a gift of intuition, of psychic abilities, of clairvoyance.
Connection to source.
Connection
really
to
just
source.
A connection to source.
And we are gifted in that. So I'm underlying this even more because it matters in my work, and I know in your work, and then with my audience, to really embrace that. I think it's just so huge. And it took me so long to trust it and believe it, like really believe what I'm sensing and feeling and seeing. And
I think what's amazing is I have a couple of clients that are much younger than me, maybe like 20 years, like 18 years, 15 years younger than me. And it's so beautiful to see them like honing in on that skill and that gift, and really trusting it like at a much earlier age. Because I would agree that it took me time, really took me time to trust it and to honor it. And it really was breathwork that started to change that for me.
Breathwork. Here's another one of my favorite subjects. Wow. So I discovered breathwork with you. And I'm going to swear, even though it's a show, but hey, it's my show, but holy shit, it's so powerful.
Yes.
It is so powerful. And yet it's something, it's not new, but I just, I've done a lot of spiritual work, and I hadn't discovered breath work. And every time I do it, it's one more wave or one more phase of clearing, understanding, myself, getting to move forward in a completely different way with a different view of myself, or different, I would say, back to understanding, a different understanding. So what do you think, and so how did you discover breath work? Because it's not like, I mean, does everybody do it? I don't know. Here in California, I'm not sure.
I think it's starting to expand for sure, because it's powerful.
It is super powerful.
And I think it's time.
It's time.
I also feel like, a lot of people are really stressed and really overwhelmed and really chaotic and really in their head.
Of course.
And people are looking for relief from that. So it's like my personal philosophy is that if there's a extreme level of intensity, something really soft like meditation is not going to it's not going to match it. It's kind of like if you have a really intense cancer, you have to like match it with a similar intensity in order to bring it down.
Yeah.
And then you can start doing other things. But I think you have to match the intensity.
I love that.
And I feel like breath work is really, it can be intense.
Oh, yes,
in a really yummy way.
Yes.
In a really profound, efficient way. But I feel like that's why it speaks to a lot of people, is because it meets them there. And I think the other thing that's beautiful about breath work is that even if you're more of a intellectual or a logical or an analytical type of person, I think that's why it speaks to people, is because there's really no understanding. There's nothing to understand.
It doesn't bring them back to their head. It allows them to shift.
Really bypass it.
Right, exactly.
Like move to a different state. If you really just keep doing the breath, it's going to be hard to stay here.
Right. Yeah.
And I think the experience that a lot of people are looking for is to get out of their mind and to be mindless. And I think that does that.
I love that, mindless, because it goes against the current, which of course tend to like going against the current.
I do too. Yeah.
Right? So we're talking so much, the society talks now so much about being mindful. And isn't that a little bit of a dichotomy? Because we need to get away from the mind. Yeah. So being mindful, I'm not sure is the right word for getting away from the head and going back to heart, going back to soul, which is really where our answers lie. And unlayering that is so challenging to begin with. This is why we wear masks. This is why we tend to hide behind a curtain or a mask or beliefs, stories, and filters and all kinds of things that will prevent us from really getting down to the pureness of who we are, what we need to understand about ourselves. So it's being mindless. I love it. I'm going to reuse it.
Good. Use it up. We need it.
Exactly. And so you use
I was kind of in that space. I had gotten to another point in my life where I had everything on paper, but I was looking for the next thing. I was really looking for my next level.
And that was breath work? That's what helped you get to the next level? So I
had a client who was also a friend, and he had been posting about it on Facebook and like doing these classes and stuff. And then I finally just thought, I should really go. And he was like, come to a class.
Right.
So I went. I had no idea what to expect, which is, I think, a similar experience for most people. And then I came out of the class like, oh my goodness, what just happened? Yeah. And I have some clients that are really big into like shamanism and plant medicine and ceremonies and that are open to, using psychedelics as medicine.
Right.
And they are just always blown away when they come. They're like, wow, I can't believe just like 20 minutes of breathing gets me like to an even deeper state of remembering who I am than that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've been into shamanic journeys and I've used plant medicine and honestly, the breath work has brought me the very little I've done. It's
Yeah.
not like I've done a huge amount of sessions, right? But it's been super helpful.
Yes.
I highly recommend it. So we have a little bit of time left, and I want to shift into what do you love about coaching today?
What do I love about coaching? I love bearing witness to somebody waking up and saying yes, saying yes to themselves and saying yes to who they truly are and living a life that they truly want to live. And just, I just feel so honored. I feel so honored when somebody says yes to themselves and to that process. And it's just miraculous to watch somebody waking up and shifting and change and not changing, but really, just waking up to
Just
who
shifting
they really
and- yes.
are. Just having those aha moments, and it's incredible. I mean, I can't imagine doing anything else. I really can't.
Same. Yeah. And I love the word miraculous, because that's really how it feels when you are supporting someone to just rise. I was going to say raise, but rise into a different state of understanding of who they are and seeing the possibility. When they start looking at their possibility.
And I think you alluded to this earlier in our conversation, but there's a lot of these words that get thrown around, and they can be kind of cliche and a little cheesy and inauthentic, but it's like when somebody comes over to that other side, steps onto that other side and takes off the mask, it's like those words become real.
Yes.
They become like, oh, that's what feeling peaceful is. That's what feeling authentic. That's what living in integrity is. My goodness, I had no idea.
Right. And
That's when it becomes embodied.
yes. And
It's
that's
not,
how
it's not knowledge or facts. It becomes an experience.
And that's when it becomes real for others around them. It becomes a real experience. That person feels in that way 100%, because they are not only they're embodying it. It's not just coming from their head. It's like the word authentic. I mean, we do use that word a lot, right? And it's a very common word, and not common, but it's what's the word I want to use? It's almost fashionable to use that word. It's an in word.
Right.
Yet a lot of people use it in a way that is totally not authentic, and sometimes just want to say, I don't know, but you don't really feel that authentic to me. So learning to live it in a different way is completely different.
Being versus doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What challenges you today?
What challenges me? What a good question.
Here he goes.
Being number one, I will say relationships. I think intimate relationships are sometimes challenging. And then I think also sometimes, as a spiritual person and as a person that like feels things and like lives in like other dimensions while living here, that feels a little bit more challenging now. The deeper that I go in my spiritual work, the less important or attached I feel to like this level. So there's times when I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I need to get back into like, okay, make dinner, do the bath, put the kids to bed.
Stuff.
Yes, just because sometimes I can really now, like with the breath work, I can really go into other dimensions. So I think sometimes it's about coming and being in reality. And I've heard other people share that with me. That
I would share that as well.
You would?
It's definitely, And sometimes I just don't want to come back. I'm having a great time up there. I just find
A lot
it
of people
so
in the
yummy.
Breathwork, when they come out, they're like, I don't want to come back. It's
Right.
just so amazing out there. And
Yeah.
I think that is part of learning how to be a spiritual being, having a human experience, is learning how to live in both dimensions
Right.
and experience both dimensions.
Mm-hmm. So, yes. Well, thanks for sharing. It's real in a truthful manner, because
Yeah.
it's.
I think that's a fear that a lot of people have too. Like, if I do some of this spiritual stuff, I'm afraid that
Absolutely.
I'm not going to come back, and I'm not
And-
going to be able to function.
And I think that fear is actually what the corporate world or the business world feeds on, is that
Patriarchy.
right, it's that it's spiritual. The word spiritual has this connotation of being woo woo and completely off the chart, which might be a connotation that started in maybe the 60s, the 70s, but I mean today it's completely different. And but still there's a big stigma around the word spiritual. You know, in the business world, most people don't use it, as we've talked about before. So other questions I have. What moves you?
I actually just thought of another challenge.
Oh, good.
And I think it's good to share about that, because
Yes.
I think a lot of times, us coaches, we talk about all the good stuff and not the other stuff.
Yes.
The other challenge that I noticed for myself, and that I feel a lot of other like heart-centered service providers have, is how to communicate what it is that they do.
Interesting, because that's been one of my challenges too.
Right.
Thank you for being my voice, Gwen.
Yes, I think, and so what I feel is important as an entrepreneur or somebody who's out there who is thinking of leaning into something new, even while they still do their 9 to 5, is to find people that do know how to do that, that do have a skill in doing that, and that do also simultaneously understand like consciousness and mindlessness and, heartfelt things, spirituality, because I feel like there are people that have a skill at doing that.
Right.
And then that's a way for them to be of service to the world and help share the people that have that other skill.
Perfect. Yeah. That's a great, great share. Love it. And it's useful. So quickly.
Yes.
Quick answers, because we have 4 minutes left? 2 minutes left. Oh my God. What moves you? Super quickly.
Nature.
Awesome.
And breathwork.
What word would
and dance.
Oh yeah.
And music.
We need to dance together. What word would describe you?
And my children. And God and universe. What?
Here we go.
Say it again.
What word? One word. Choose one word that describes you.
My husband always tells me authentic.
Okay.
What would you say?
About you?
Yeah.
The word soft comes to me.
Soft, yeah.
Yeah. You're
Soothing.
so soft and soothing.
You said soothing
I
before
know.
we got on the
She's
live.
so soothing too. I just, yeah. Anyways, another one. What can't you go without?
Oh my goodness. Connection. And water and breath. The obvious ones.
I wasn't that deep when I
Connection.
answered that question once when it was asked of me in an interview. I thought it was so cool. I love that question because so what came to me instinctively was almond butter.
Almond butter. I love it.
I was like, I just love almond butter and love. Love feeds me in every way. So it's love of connection or love of nature or just love feeds me.
So feeling connected, deeply connected.
So that's awesome.
Almond butter.
Almond butter.
I know what I'm going to get you for a Christmas gift.
Thank you so much. That was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime.
I hope there were some nuggets that can serve people that are listening.
I think
helpful.
I think we always have nuggets that right that can help.
I mean, to be of service.
Absolutely. That's so yummy. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming.
thank
You so much for
you.
sharing so truthfully.
Yes.
We'll put aside authentic,
Right.
right?
Vulnerably.
So where can we find you?
Oh, I can be found on Instagram at Gwen Coach, or my website is Gwen Dittmar, DITTMAR.com. I'm also on Facebook. So I have a group if you're interested in joining Wake Up and Rise, where we talk about all these kinds of things. You don't have to be in the spiritual closet anymore. I would say those are the 3 top places.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you.
I highly recommend Gwen on every level. So
Moon circles,
moon
breathwork,
circles.
coaching.
When the breath work is included in
Yes.
the moon circle, really,
Yes.
and that's how I discovered it. So thank you so much for
Thank you for having
joining.
me.
Thank you for coming. See you next week. Next week at 1. Every week we're here having great fun and real conversations. Thank you. See you soon.
Well,